All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to learn about the coordinate plane. Our objective is that we'll all be able to accurately describe the quadrants of the coordinate plane and how the x and y coordinates change for each quadrant. Moving on, some academic vocabulary terms that we'll come across are, first of all, quadrant. And in the coordinate plane, these are formed by the intersection of the x-axis and the y-axis. There are 4 of them. Next, we have our x-axis. In the coordinate plane, this is the horizontal axis. Okay, then we have our y-axis, and in the coordinate plane, the vertical axis. And we have ordered pair. And in the coordinate plane, the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate written in a fixed order is what an ordered pair is. And it is written as x comma y. All right, let's move on and get some examples of these different terms that we have. First of all, our vertical axis here, we can see is the y-axis. And we're just going to go ahead and label that y-axis. And that is this vertical axis. Next, we have our horizontal axis, and this is the x-axis. And since I'm going to go off the page here, I'm going to just go ahead and make it yellow x-axis. That way it shows on this black background. All right. Another key vocabulary word that I actually left out is this point right here, and this is our starting point. And it's known as the origin. The ordered pair, or the x and the y coordinates for the origin, would look something like this. It's 0 for x and 0 for y, which means that you're not going to the left or right, and you're not going up or down. You're just staying right here. And that, again, is your origin or starting point. Now, the x and the y-axis form 4 different kind of quadrants or corners here. So we have 4 different quadrants. And the first quadrant is actually this one in the upper right. And you'll notice I didn't write a 1, I wrote an I. This is actually a Roman numeral that stands for 1. And the quadrants are labeled as Roman numerals. Next, we have quadrant 2, which is right over here. So they kind of start in the upper right-hand corner, and then they go counterclockwise. Next, we have quadrant 3 down here. And quadrant 4 over here. So 1, 2, and 3 are pretty easy for Roman numerals, and then we come across this quadrant 4, IV. The V actually represents a 5 in Roman numerals, and when you write the I in front of it, it means basically 5 minus 1, which is equal to 4. So this is quadrant 4. We broke it down into 4 quadrants. Now we want to examine what has to happen to be in quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you think about it, in order to end up over here in quadrant 1, we have to go to the right on the x-axis, and we have to end up going up on our y-axis, right and up. In order to go right on the x-axis, the x-coordinate has to be a positive value. In order to go up on the y-axis, notice all the numbers going up are all positive, so it also has to be positive, which means that as long as you have a positive x and a positive y, it will be in quadrant 1. So an example, 3, 2. If I go right 3 and up 2, that point is right here. Notice 3, 2, they are both positive values, and it ends up in quadrant 1. Next, let's think about quadrant 2. In order to end up over here in quadrant 2, we're going to have to go left on the x-axis, and we're going to have to go up on the y-axis to get into quadrant 2. So in order to go left on the x-axis, our x-coordinate has to be a negative value, a negative x value. And our y value has to be positive in order to go up. So we're going to put negative, comma, positive. And then we'll come up with an example again. Let's try negative 4, positive 2. So negative 4 in the x, and remember with ordered pairs, the x coordinate comes first. It is an ordered list. Therefore, we need to go on the x-axis first. So negative 4, if that is the first value that we come across, then that's the first thing I'm going to do is go 4 to the left. Whenever I come across my y value now, I need to move this because it's going to be in my way. So I'm graphing negative 4, comma 2. I go 4 to the left, and I'm going to go up 2. And notice again, we went 4 left and up 2, and we came up with this point of negative 4, negative 4, comma 2. And it is in quadrant 2. A negative x and a positive y value. Moving down to quadrant 3, in order to end up in quadrant 3 here, we again need to go left on the x-axis. But this time on the y-axis, we need to go down. So in order to go left on the x-axis, we have to have a negative x value. And in order to go down on the y-axis, notice again, we also have to have a negative. So this is where both the x and the y coordinates are negative. All right, a good example of this might just be negative 1, negative 3. Okay, notice negative 1, comma, negative 3. This ordered pair has a negative x and a negative y coordinate. And we would go 1 left on the x-axis, and we'd go down 3. So the x coordinate always comes first, which means you're moving left or right first, and then you will move up or down for the y-axis. And there's your point in quadrant 3. All right. And finally, moving on to quadrant 4. In order to end up over here, we have to, from the origin again, move to the right on the x-axis, and then we're going to have to go down on the y-axis. In order to go right on the x-axis, just like in quadrant 1 here, we have to have a positive x value. Okay? In order to go down on the y-axis, we need, notice these are all negative, so we need a negative y value. And an example of that might be 5, comma, negative 4. 5, negative 4. So notice my 5 is positive, my x coordinate, and my negative 4 is my y coordinate, which is negative. So I'm going to go 5 to the right on the x-axis, and then I'm going to go down 4. And I'm going to find my point right here. So you'll notice again, if I actually made a dotted line to get there and made a dotted line from my y coordinate, we would have a point right here for 5, negative 4. So I hope that helped you to better understand the different quadrants, how to graph points, ordered pairs, and some of the academic vocabulary. See ya.